A torn piece of sari tied around Lord Krishna's wounded finger by Draupadi. That simple act of care is said to have started it all. Tomorrow, August 28th, is Raksha Bandhan, the festival of the Rakhi. Legend says even goddess Lakshmi tied one on King Bali's wrist. Welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savitri Rodrigo, where sometimes the smallest threads carry the biggest meanings. From the Kaleidoscope studios, Namini Vijayadasa, Karunasiri Vijay Singha, and some quick news headlines of the past week. From Mathura to Yala, Vilpattu to Polonnaruwa, Hambantota to Anuradhapura. But it was Baunia that held Karunasiri Vijay Singha's attention when he took his brush and rice paper to travel across the country, seeking the hidden beauty of untamed terrain of Sri Lanka's trees, vines and roots.
really ගතියත් එක්ක ගස්වල අර කර්කශක භාවයයි අර ඇඹරිලා තියෙන හැඩතල
The trees in the dry zone have distinct characteristics, and Karunasiri sees unique shapes from people to animals and birds etched into the gnarled barks and entwined vines and roots.
වවුනියාව කියන ප්‍රදේශය හුඟක් වියඩිකාල ගුණයක් තියෙන ප්‍රදේශයක්.
And it was Vaunia that held his gaze the most. Sitting on the banks of reservoirs, he drew details from dead wood and snags, drawing roots and vines shaped by the direction of the wind and rain, each extraordinary to the eye.
අවුරුදු 5කට කලින් තමයි ඔය මේ රයිස් පේපර් වල අඳින්න පටන් ගත්තේ මම.
For years, he tried watercolor on rice paper and handmade paper and eventually perfected it, balancing the amounts of water with the color, developing a technique all his own. And today, he brings out the hidden intricacies of nature for us to see. We're everywhere you scroll: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Subscribe, follow, and never miss a beat. None of this moves without our partners, Selinco Live, CDB, and The Daily Morning, powering every step of this journey.
Cool appetizer. Introducing CDB Self, the digital wallet that makes life easy.
Now, let's rewind the stories that mattered last week in CDB News in a blink. Moody's announces Sri Lanka's foreign currency long-term issue rating and senior unsecured rating to remain at CAA1, backed by a stable outlook. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka announces new feed-in tariffs for renewable energy, introducing for the first time a battery energy storage system category. Sri Lanka currently generates over 60% of its energy from renewable sources. So let's talk numbers. Here's how the markets moved this week. It was a short and yet another dull week at the Colombo Stock Exchange, with the all share price index flat, low turnover levels, and foreign buying completely drying up. WTI oil prices dropped by about 2% to $84 per barrel, even as the US turned to economic coercion in its near 6-month war with Iran. The price of gold remained steady at above $4,600 per ounce, even as the US dollar weakened slightly ahead of key inflation data being announced by the US. The world's oldest person, British woman Ethel Caterham, celebrates her 117th birthday. Robots' hilarious running style steal the show at the 2026 World Humanoid Robot Games.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Selinco Life.
For 30 years, she's chased the stories powerful people wanted buried, from war zones to boardrooms of corruption. In 2025, the world took notice. The US State Department named her an International Woman of Courage, a recipient of a host of global awards for her courageous pen. Investigative journalist Namini Vijayadasa joins us to talk truth, risk, and everything it costs to keep digging. This is Kaleidoscope Selico Live Dialogues. So, very few journalists globally are honored with the US Secretary of State's International Woman of Courage Award, and you are one of them. So, congratulations. Thank you. Uh, what did this mean to you, given the risks you've taken over, I would say, over 3 decades of documenting and writing?
That as a journalist, when I was approached with the call and they said that I was nominated for this award, I told them, are you sure I'm courageous? Because it's not something that journalists actually think about. Proper journalism doesn't mean that you're going out to do acts of courage. You're doing your job, your duty. So what it meant to me was that it didn't mean it meant less to me personally than it did to journalism in Sri Lanka. I'm the first journalist to get it in Sri Lanka, and to recognize that journalists have a role in society was valuable to me, but not so much personally.
So, you work on the ICIJ collaboration about the Pandora Papers with Four Corners ABC Australia. What's the hardest part of collaborating in investigation across so many different legal and journalistic systems?
So the hardest part is not even legal, but it's building trust. Because when you have different journalists in different parts of the world with different agendas of their publications and TV channels, you have to make sure you're on the same page. And the first initial stage of building that trust, knowing that you're not going to scoop somebody else, that you're going to share all the information you gather, and that you want equal publicity and mileage for each of your publications, is the most difficult thing.
So, you're reporting on the procurement corruption that predicted Sri Lanka's economic fallout years in advance. Could that crisis have been avoided, do you think?
Procurement fraud was only one aspect of it, and it did run up a lot of our debt on projects that were not going to bring returns in the immediate term, and it would have taken very much longer to get returns. If you had done a proper procurement process with a level playing field and assessment of what is actually valuable for the country in that particular point of time to get returns, that could have contributed in a way to avoiding the crisis from being this severe. But it was not only procurement fraud that led to the crisis. There were many other bad management and economic decisions that did.
What drew you to edit Uttamavati, the story untold in 2024?
During the time of the crisis, I was feeling very much for the Muslim community and what they were facing, and was covering it in real time. So when the opportunity actually came to me, because I also do a lot of editing, I jumped at the chance, and going through that process of seeing how people felt and the stories they told in that book sort of made me feel like I made a contribution, however small, towards having their voices heard.
So, the Professor Kailasipati Award for your use of the Right to Information Act, how useful is that act as an interrogative tool, and where does it fall short?
We went forward by decades, because it's also one of the best laws in the region and possibly in the world, because of the deadlines it gives for the supply of information. So it is an extremely useful tool, but we must remember it must be used. A law will be useful, a tool will be useful as long as you keep going to it. The challenge is that the government can undermine it in many ways. For one thing, they underfund or defund the RTI Commission, which is an extremely useful instrument in getting your information if the normal procedure doesn't work. The other way is that they can always find exclusions. The other thing is that if its information is denied, the process takes long because the RTI Commission is so underfunded, understaffed. Appeals take years. So as a journalistic tool, your story might be dead by the time you get the answers.
So, for 30 years, Namini, you've covered wars, ceasefires, economic collapses, regime changes, got international recognition. Is there a story that still stays unfinished on your desk, a story that needs to be told? And Why does it still matter to you?
I have many stories sitting unfinished on my desk for lack of documentary evidence. And that is the story of corruption, which I'm deeply involved in now. Much of the corruption that is reported to me as a journalist, because over the years I've built trust and at professionalism, I cannot substantiate through documentary evidence. So if you ask me if there's anything unfinished, I have multiple stories that people have come to me with where they have evidence of corruption having been committed, but I cannot get that information in a way that it'll stand up in court.
And so that's a wrap. But the stories don't stop here. See you next week, same time on Kaleidoscope, where stories matter.